CTV News with Caroline Van Vlartigan.
Good evening. Well, it was fun while it lasted, but the Canadiens are now officially out of the Stanley Cup playoffs. They lost in rally 6-1 tonight in another punishing game against the Carolina Hurricanes. And Kelly, in the end, the young team that just thrilled us for so long just couldn't find a way against a seasoned bigger team with playoff experience, I guess.
That's right, Caroline. I mean, the clock has struck midnight on the Montreal Canadiens' improbable playoff run, and in the end, it wasn't a very pretty finish.
Here's Blake, snaked over to the net.
Montreal challenges Carolina's first goal for goalie interference, but lost that, and it didn't get much better after that. The Canadiens score 5 unanswered goals in this one. Martin St. Louis does juggle the lines a little bit, swapping Suzuki and Evans in the first and second lines, and Montreal does get one from Cole Caulfield, but it's clear the Canadiens are a team that are battered and bruised. Caden Gooley especially showing some pain tonight. Now, many others not up to their usual form, and the Habs were outshot 29-24, but most of those shots came after they were far behind. Post-game, the young leadership of this group shared what they've learned through this experience and how they're feeling.
How much fun it is winning with these guys. I can't explain it, but you know, when we were at our high points and winning, it's some of the most fun I've had playing. So, fun group to be a part of.
I mean, there's a lot of different feelings. Obviously, it sucks. What just occurred in the series. Obviously, thought we could, probably do a little better, but still a lot of pride in the group and what we accomplished this year. And the guys fought right to the end. I mean, we had a grueling, pretty grueling 3 rounds, and we just kept pushing. And I think looking back at the whole season, there's a lot of positives to take away from.
Lots of long faces here at Espace 1909 as things went from bad to worse. Many fans leaving after the second period, but some sticking it out to the bitter end. And I asked them about this playoff run we've been on. Keep in mind, this has been over a month. Round 1, Game 1 was back on April 19th. The fans shared what it's meant to them.
Probably the new hook backhand, like when he batted it on the backhand. I like that goal. I mean, it brought so much joy to the city to finally get a playoff win, like a series win. So I would say that one.
At least they tried. And what we saw is that no other team in this series beat them for at least one match, and we did. So I think we have a young team, and I think what they are living right now is going to make them better next year.
In my opinion, like the first round was the best round we did, but I'm glad we are in a conference final. It's still nice. We did better than last year, but next year is our year.
So it comes to an end, but keep in mind this is a team that just a few years ago was in a rebuild that few expected to even get this far. Some didn't even think they would make the playoffs the way they were playing around mid-season. So while it does come to an end, it is a team with a bright future, but not meant to be this year. Caroline?
Yeah, lots to be proud of for sure, and I like that young man. We'll get him next year. Not this year, next year, but it was certainly a great time watching them. Thanks very much, Kelly, and for all your great reporting on the whole series. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline.
Well, it wasn't a good night for cyclists at the Tour de Nuit either. This is what they were facing. Hail about the size of peas dropping on parts of Montreal just before 8:30 tonight, and along with cool temperatures, winds and rain, organizers decided to be safe and canceled the event, sending many disappointed riders who'd already arrived home. Their tickets will be honored, though, to participate in the Tour de Lille on Sunday. And back to hockey, there was a brief tribute at tonight's hockey game in Raleigh for Claude Lemieux.
Claude left a lasting legacy on our great game. Our thoughts are with his family, friends, and every player whose life he impacted.
Lemieux had won 4 Stanley Cups and played for the Canadiens and for the Hartford Whalers, who became the Carolina Hurricanes.
Please rise if you are able.
And police in Palm Beach County, Florida, did confirm yesterday that Claude Lemieux died by suicide. Former teammates who saw him just days ago in Montreal were left stunned by the news. Here's Matt Gilmore.
It's really hard to understand, you know, after seeing him on Monday night and spending a good amount of time with him. He looked great. He sounded great. We had great conversation. We were laughing. We were talking about 86.
Chris Nyland, who won the Stanley Cup with Claude Lemieux in 1986, is still coming to grips with the news. His former teammate died by suicide.
We don't know what people are going through, and it's really hard sometimes to, when someone who's struggling like that is protective and quiet about it.
Lemieux won 4 Stanley Cups and the Conn Smythe Trophy. He had children and grandchildren and had just experienced the adoration of 21,000 people at the Bell Center. For mental health advocates, his death is a reminder that many suffer in silence.
First of all, it can happen to anybody. But I think that what is probably important to recognize that money, fame, success, all of that is not a guarantee for less pain.
Ella Amir is hoping to send the message that it's important to check in on friends and loved ones.
The onus is on us, you know, the people on the other side, to be sensitive and to see if there are some signs that suggest that this person requires some help and support, and not be afraid of that.
Nyland, who's been open about his own struggles with mental health, says even the toughest people sometimes need help, but still feel ashamed to ask.
They're worried about the stigma of mental health. They worry about being judged. They're worried about, you know, looking weak. Claude Lemieux is a big, strong man, you know, and, you know, it's just really, yeah, you know, I was sick to my stomach yesterday.
He hopes shining a light on it will prevent others from suffering alone.
Check on your teammates, check on your family members, check on your friends, check on your coworkers. You know, it couldn't be more apparent when you see something like this happen.
Matt Gilmore, CTV News.
And there are resources available for anyone concerned about suicide. 988 is the suicide crisis helpline, accessible anywhere in the country. Suicide Action Montreal has a crisis line in both English and French, and Ami Quebec offers support to friends and family of people in crisis. The City of Montreal is asking residents in a large part of the island, almost 1.3 million people, to reduce their water consumption. The city says Montreal's water network is in a fragile state and major work needs to be done. Here's Olivia O'Malley.
These are the parts needed for emergency repairs on a 48-inch water pipe underneath Atwater Avenue. The city says the pipe, that dates back to 1984, shows signs of advanced deterioration and could break at any moment.
We don't want to wait for those pipes to pop. That's why we're intervening proactively when we have a certain measure of control.
It's one of 4 lines that supply the McTavish Water Reservoir. It will be shut down starting this weekend and last until at least August. The problem is other lines that feed this same reservoir are already undergoing repairs. To reduce strain on Montreal's water system, the city is asking nearly 1.3 million people to decrease their water consumption.
We use a lot of water in Montreal compared to the Canadian average, but it's the first time that we ask the population to reduce the wasting of water.
The areas in red on this map are affected. In total, it's 16 Montreal boroughs: Mount Royal, Hampstead, Westmount, Côte Saint-Luc, Montreal East, and Montreal West. The city is encouraging people to turn off the tap while they brush their teeth and water outdoors less.
Every little action count and help make a difference.
Executive Committee President Claude Pinard says the city aims to save 100 million liters of water per day, equivalent to 40 Olympic-sized swimming pools, representing about 7% of total consumption. Au Secours is a nonprofit that advocates for responsible water management. It says businesses and the industrial sector need to help for the goal to be achieved.
I think the key message here is that it might be doable if it's a collective effort, if it doesn't rest solely on the citizens' shoulders.
The city is also carrying out its own measures, including not filling decorative fountains. Depending on how the situation evolves, officials say a watering ban could be imposed. Olivia O'Malley, CTV News.
An international tribunal is declaring Canada guilty of genocide against Indigenous peoples. The preliminary decision delivered today links residential schools and other colonial policies to ongoing harm still felt across generations. Laurence Bisson-Dubreuil reports.
After a week of testimony from survivors, lawyers, and human rights experts, an international tribunal issued a historic preliminary finding.
The tribunal has no difficulty in accepting that this pattern of composite acts constitutes genocide.
The Permanent People's Tribunal finds Canada guilty of genocide against Indigenous peoples, not only through residential schools and unmarked graves, but through a continued legacy of harm, including forced and coerced sterilization. The full declaration, including recommendations to the federal government, will be released September 30th on the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation.
Long overdue.
Roberta Hill is a residential school survivor from Six Nations of the Grand River.
The survivors, we told you the truth. We've been telling you the truth. I want the government and the churches to stand up and tell us exactly what their role was in all of this. Not just, I'm sorry.
The case was years in the making, and organizers say many of the solutions have already been laid out. Genocide of the Native Women's Shelter of Montreal pointed to repeated calls for change through national inquiries and commissions.
And people are not implementing them. How do you force the government to follow up on their word?
The non-binding tribunal's recommendations also go beyond symbolic recognition. One major demand, the preservation of thousands of residential school testimonies currently set to be destroyed in 2027. Krista Big Canoe, who led the case against Canada, said Ottawa's absence this week speaks volumes.
I would expect the government first to acknowledge that they understand that a finding has been made as opposed to sort of being absent the way they have.
For many survivors, Friday's declaration is just the start of an ongoing fight.
We want our voices heard. There's no longer the silencing of residential school voices. We stand strong. We will speak up. We need answers. We need accountability.
Laurence Bisson-Dubreuil, CTV News.
Provincial police found a young man's body Friday inside a septic tank in Genocide. Firefighters from Boisbriand retrieved the body, and there will be an autopsy to determine the cause of death. A 20-year-old man's been charged with murder and 3 counts of assault. It's in connection with an attack last August in Saint Laurent. A 22-year-old man was killed and 2 other people were stabbed in a park. Mohamed Barbour appeared in court today and was charged in connection with the attack in the park along with another attack. Montreal police say they have now solved 84% of the murders that happened in their territory last year. And a once homeless man with ties to Al-Qaeda has pleaded guilty in Montreal to threatening to bomb public transit. Mohammed Abdullah Warsame once attended Al-Qaeda training camps. He was arrested after telling a social worker that he wants to kill people using bombs to blow up trains and subways. His lawyer says he's mentally ill, and he's also acknowledged calling a passport office and threatening to blow it up. Warsame's case returns to court in September. The City of Montreal is increasing funding for the Municipal Housing Office to help those who are struggling to find an apartment that they can afford. Here's Angela McKenzie.
Mayor Soraya Martinez-Ferrada says she wants to ensure no one ends up on the street come moving day. So the city is increasing support for Municipal Housing Office by $3.4 million over 3 years. That will go towards relocation services for people who lose their home, temporary accommodations such as hotels, as well as storage solutions and pet care for families who don't find a place to live by moving day. The city says last year more than 2,300 people sought assistance from the housing office between mid-June and mid-July. 488 households ended up in hotels while waiting for permanent housing. Many were seniors and single people, and around 35% were families with children. The mayor is asking anyone who needs help to call 311 or 211 to be pointed to resources.
The face of homelessness has changed. Homeless is people, yes, we talk about, drug addictions, mental health, but we also talk about economic homelessness. We have seen people in their cars going to take a shower and go to work, not be able to find a home because they are working, but not enough to pay a rent. So I think the face of homelessness has changed, and the pressure that gives us as an administration, as a city, is that we have to find many measures that will respond to the clientele that has changed.
RECLAC, a coalition of housing groups, says one of the main reasons people can't find housing is because rents have gone up so much in recent years and remain high.
Sometimes even someone who's only been in the same apartment for 5 or 10 years, if they're moving, they might not be able to find something at a comparable price. And so that's also part of the problem and part of how we see people ending up out on the street. Maybe they have a pretty limited income and they just can't afford the current rents that are on the market. So that's definitely something that we see, even if there wasn't a sort of eviction or something. But evictions, remain common too. We've seen that in the homelessness statistics, that about a third of people who end up on the street have been evicted in recent years.
He says in the past, people who had fallen behind on their rent may not meet the criteria for some of the temporary aid options offered by the city. The mayor says, combined with other measures set to be announced in the coming weeks, she expects fewer people will fall through the cracks this year. Angela McKenzie, CTV News.
Rio Tinto's expanded aluminum smelter in Saguenay was officially inaugurated today. The opening follows a $2 billion expansion project that aimed to lower carbon emissions as well as expand production capacity.
We are grateful to the federal government to invest as well in this project, and this project for sure will help Quebec to position itself at the international scale in a very positive way, because it is a breakthrough technology that is being developed here.
And the factory will be able to produce 160,000 metric tons of aluminum each year. A Montreal police officer will be cycling 200 kilometers tomorrow to try to reach a goal that is dear to his heart. Jonathan Bertillon will be cycling to raise money for research into a rare form of cancer that suddenly claimed his father's life last year. Sylvain Bertillon died just 17 days after diagnosis of bile duct cancer. Sylvain was a volunteer firefighter, but the way the illness took him left his son with a lot of questions.
My quest inside that is because my dad don't have the time to make the fight. So I decided to make the fight for him. My dad is a firefighter during 20 years. I'm a police officer. So our job is to help person, to help people, to save lives. So I decided to try to find a reason why he passed away and to trying to help other person to give a chance to other person than my dad don't have his chance.
And his goal is to raise $50,000 for cancer research. Still to come, the project of another YouTube filmmaker makes it to the big screen. Well, this is the last weekend in May, and that means cyclists will be out in full force in the city. But before we get to that, Chris Bumbry of JoeBlow.com has some other entertainment suggestions for you. Hi, Chris. Welcome home.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Carolyn.
So not long ago, we talked about a film called Obsession that was made by a bunch of young filmmakers on YouTube that is now in theaters. And now there's another one called Backroom. Let's take a quick peek.
I'm not saying I don't believe you.
Okay, I'm gonna come back here with proof. All right, you feel me? Yeah. Follow my lead.
Clark, what is this?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I've been here every night since I found the place, and I still barely scratched the surface.
Okay, Chris, what is going on here, and is it good? Is it worth going to see?
So this is, like you said, it's by a YouTuber, a 20-year-old YouTuber named Kane Parsons, based on a web series that he created when he was in high school that went ultra viral. And this is actually on track to become one of the highest grossing horror movies of all time. It's on track for a massive, massive opening this weekend. I saw it earlier this week, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. You know, these young YouTube people, I mean, they've grown up kind of, you know, really honing their craft, I think, online with the tools that we would have never had when we were that age, and they've made really remarkably assured movies. And this, you know, considering that it's directed by a 20-year-old in his first feature-length film, it's remarkably good. He has Chiwetel Ejiofor, Renate Reinsve. So, like as I says, the title is basically, there's this old internet myth of these kind of back rooms with this yellow fluorescent light that exists kind of outside of time, and that if you get stuck in one, you can never find your way out. And that's basically what the movie's about. I wouldn't say that it's wholly like terrifying, but it's definitely eerie, and I think that it would actually be a great kind of breakthrough horror movie for like younger viewers, like maybe early teens or something. I mean, it is R-rated, but to me it was a tame R, at least for me anyway. And yeah, I can see why it's doing really well, because that concept is great, and I think it's going to turn into a huge franchise.
And I recognize the star there as well, so we're getting some names in these indie YouTube films. Let's talk about other indie stuff, which is music. After a very successful Porch Fest in NDG a couple of weekends ago, Porch Fest in Verdun is happening, right?
Yes, that's happening tomorrow. I don't know how the weather's going to be. Hopefully, it's gonna you know, be not too bad. But yeah, so it's happening rain or shine in Verdun and in Nuns Island. And like you said, basically it's local musicians, just as they did in NDG, on their porches and terraces playing music. And it's a great way to discover new band and really to kind of build a community. And Verdun, you know, it's one of the most bustling, interesting places now, I think, in the city, especially just off of Wellington. I mean, that place is amazing in the summertime. So a wonderful activity to kind of kick off the early days of the summer with.
Absolutely. And if you are like your music indoors because you don't want to take a chance on the weather, you can head to Place Belle tonight to see some living legends.
This is
Canadian legends.
This is a real big show. The Guess Who, the real Guess Who. So the Guess Who has been touring for years, but without Burton Cummings and Randy Bachman, right? And they actually had to go to court to get the name back, and it's kind of their triumphant return. They're playing tonight at Place Belle, all the hits. And actually their opening act is pretty cool too. It's Don Felder from the Eagles, and he plays like Hotel California and all the classics. So if you're into classic rock, this is a huge event for you, and it's at Place Belle, and yes, there are still some tickets available.
Wow, I wish I wasn't working tonight. I would head to that. I actually Googled their song list. Apparently they start with something called The Oldest Man, which seems very appropriate given that they're in their late 70s and early 80s now, but still
really
rocking on. And we have to get back to the Tour de Lille.
The Tour de Lille is happening on Sunday. There's a couple different options. You can do the 30 to 50 kilometer one, or you can do the 60 to 80 kilometer one if you're a real enthusiast. And you know, the weather's supposed to be a lot nicer on Sunday. There might be some scattered rainstorms, but it's not going to be, you know, the kind of rained out event that it, you know, would be kind of a nightmare, I think, for the Tour de Lille. So it should be a good day. And if you're driving in the city, make sure to check the map for the Tour de Lille, because you're going to get stuck in a lot of traffic because there's a lot of closures.
Yeah, thanks so much for this, Chris. We'll see you again soon.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Menswear provided by Ernest. Elevate your style with Ernest. Weather brought to you by Gratian Scaff's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
Well, this is a Friday night where you probably want to stay indoors. That is as cool air rushes toward us from the north, and we continue to see the effects of significant rain. It's a very different picture from where we started our day. That was at a wake-up temperature of 14 degrees, and we did move toward that high of 18, but we are expecting to see a move down tonight. So you'll notice our normal low is sitting at 11. For tonight, we are forecasting a low of +9, and along with that, we're also expecting to see some thunderstorm, at least a thunderstorm risk. So Environment Canada, in addition to that, has issued a special weather statement calling for strong winds gusting up to 80 kilometers an hour. So they are reminding everyone to pull in anything that can blow away easily outdoors. But come tomorrow morning, it is good news. We're looking at mainly sunny skies, a wake-up temperature of 10. We are also expecting to see that mercury move up over the course of the day. So our expected high for tomorrow is sitting at 19 degrees, and we should be holding on to those mainly sunny skies headed into the afternoon. But insofar as the system that we have seen today, that should clear out by about 3 in the morning for those in the greater Montreal area and really much of southern Quebec. And and then that makes way for that sunshine that we're expecting to see. On Sunday, we could potentially see roughly 3 millimeters more, and then it's good news for next week. We are looking at a mix of sun and cloud all the way from Monday to Friday, and warmer temperatures in the mid-20s.
Looks like a good week ahead, and that wraps it up for us tonight. For the latest news, you can listen to the Joanne Vraka Show tomorrow morning at 6, and of course you can always head to ctvnewsmontreal.ca for extended coverage. And that's it. Have a great weekend. Enjoy whatever you do in whatever weather. And yeah, well, the Habs didn't make it to the very end, but go Habs go anyway. Take care. See ya.